Greetings. Thank you for subscribing. Today we'll be talking about excuses. This is one area in the human life that is a great problem. It prevents us from going ahead and it stops us from even getting to where we're supposed to get to. Usually, we find people giving excuses everywhere, in almost every area of life, in their career, in their families, in the church. In fact, everywhere we find people always looking for a reason why they should give an excuse. People always want to justify why this or that was not done. People always want to justify why they did not choose this or that was chosen. And because of this, people always give excuses to escape either from this or to escape from that. And so generally in life, excuses have almost become a part of life. Excuses have almost become an everyday to-day living with man. So man moves alongside excuses. But these same excuses have stopped man from moving higher, has stopped people from doing hard work, has stopped people from getting higher, has stopped business people maybe from progressing. And so today we want to generally look at how we can overcome excuses. It's something that most people are suffering from. The student in class will give an excuse why an assignment was not done or why they failed an exam. The teacher will give an excuse why the students were not taught or why they didn't finish the curriculum. The husband will give an excuse why this was not done to the family. The child at home will give an excuse why the father did not send him to school. The wife will give an excuse why she had an affair outside. Even in the nation, the leaders will give excuses why this was not done or that was not done. And so today we want to look at how to overcome excuses. We don't forget that once you keep giving excuses, you may become the accused. Don't forget, once you keep giving excuses, once you are used to giving excuses, it is possible you could become the accused. So now, how do we overcome excuses? How can we overcome excuses? Now, one, to overcome excuses, you must always be able to check your thinking. What are you thinking at every time? What are you thinking about? Are you thinking positively or are you thinking negatively? What is your mindset? What really is your aim? So at every one time, you should check your thinking. You want to give an excuse about this. What are you thinking about? Because once you are not thinking in the right direction, once you are not thinking positively, and you go out to give an excuse, you may not be on the right side. Sometimes generally excuses are necessary. In conditions that are really vital, you could give an excuse. Maybe you are late for something you programmed for 9 a.m. and you were delayed by transport or all. Excuses are welcome. But your thinking, once your thinking is right, once your thinking is okay, you should check on the excuses you are giving if they go along with your thinking. Secondly, to overcome excuses, you must work on your friends and your environment. Once you find yourself with friends, with people in an environment where everybody gives excuses, you may also be pushed to always give an excuse. Once you find yourself in a setting where everybody is used to giving excuses, you will also give an excuse. So what do you need to do? You need to take yourself out of that environment. You need to work on your friend. If your friends are not thinking positive, you need to stay away from those friends. And so once you are with people in an environment where everyone thinks negative, everyone thinks that they can use an excuse to escape laziness, they can use an excuse to escape hard work, they can use an excuse to escape failure, they can use an excuse to escape maybe infidelity. Once everybody is doing that, in our society we say everybody is doing it, and so if I do it, it's not a big deal. So excuses is the way out. So when I give an excuse, I have a way out. But when you give an excuse today, you give another excuse tomorrow, before you discover so many excuses, you become the accused. Excuse today, excuse tomorrow, you become the accused. And so to overcome excuses, what do you need to do? Check your friends. You must make sure you have good friends. Good friends will give you good advice. who are not always using an excuse as a way out of laziness. And so you must make sure your environment is okay. Positive environment where the people are thinking positive. Your friends have a positive mindset. They are thinking of how they can grow. They are thinking of hard work. They are not thinking of a way that they will use excuses to escape hard work. They will not think of a way that they will use excuse as a way why they should be lazy. And so, if you have good friends and you have a positive environment, you can be able to overcome excuses. The third way is to overcome excuses. Very important. You must be able to take responsibility for your mistakes and the things you do. Many people in life do not want to be responsible. When things happen, they accuse everybody. And sometimes some people even accuse immovable things. People will say the chair was responsible for that, the table responsible for that. These are things that are non-living. These things do not function. They don't work. They are not living. They have no life in them. And so because people do not want to own up and take responsibility for actions that they carry out, they always want to shift their responsibilities to that, shift it to the other person, shift it to their father, shift it to their mother, shift it to their friends. And so what happens? As a result of that, they always find themselves jumping from one excuse to another excuse and so on. But if you want to overcome excuses, you must learn to take responsibility for your mistakes. As man, as a human being, we are prone to mistakes. At one time or another, you could make errors in your career, in your home, even in the public. You can make errors. But if you try to cover up those errors and then blame other people for those errors, that is, you try to give excuses why that error was committed, you will not have those eyes to see where you can correct those errors, and you cannot move forward. If a driver is driving on the road and he engages on a wrong gear while climbing on the hill, and a passenger makes a correction, a passenger in the vehicle who is an experienced driver corrects him and tells him, this is what you should have done. And in order to cover up for his mistakes, he says, I know, and doesn't do it. You may end up destroying the engine of the car, or end up maybe ending the car halfway along that journey. But if he takes the correction, next time when he gets to another hill that is even worse than that one, he engages the right gear, he can be able to go faster. He has learned something. And so when you take responsibilities for your mistakes and your actions and your faults, you are able to overcome them. And so, but when we keep giving excuse why we make mistakes, excuses why we make errors, no, we don't learn anything new. We don't learn anything that will correct us, that will take us to the next level. And so in order to overcome excuses, we must learn to take responsibility. Oh no, I am responsible for this mistake. I am the one that did this. I am sorry. I did this because I did not know. Please, can you teach me? When we go back to the scriptures, you find the man Moses. Moses gave so many excuses. When God called him to go and lead the children of Israel out of Egypt, he said, I cannot talk. I'm a stammerer. Even when God told him, your brother Aaron is coming to meet you, he was still not willing to go, because he saw himself as somebody who had low self-esteem. He couldn't go. He wanted to give excuses. But before that, Moses knew that he was not an Egyptian. He was an Israelite, and he was preparing. He had killed an Egyptian before, and then he ran away. But when God wanted to use him, he started giving excuses. No, I cannot do that. And so he did not see himself as being able to go beyond that level. He saw himself, I will not be able to do it. Many people find themselves in life at that same state. They don't see themselves as being able to go beyond. You come from a family that generally everybody in that family, nobody has gone beyond a certain level of education. And you say, well, you console yourself. Okay, after all, nobody has been able to go beyond. It's our family trait. It's not our family trait. It's not. It's because you give excuses. Why don't you break that barrier and go beyond? Take responsibility. Oh, My father could not go beyond this level because of this mistake he did. And so I have seen it and correct it and go ahead. But when you say, well, my father could not go beyond. I have tried. My father could not go beyond GS3. After all, I have tried and gone to SS1. I can now stop. Those are excuses. And they don't help us to fulfill what God has destined us to become in this life. They don't help us to get to that level, that desired goal where you want to achieve in life. Each one of us have goals in us that we desire to attain. But we need those stimulants inside of us. Those things within us to stimulate us to get to that goal. And one of those things that will stop that stimulant in us is excuses. When we keep giving excuses, excuses will calm down, will weaken, will break down those stimulants that will take us to that desired goal. Each one of us have our dreams in this life. We desire to achieve those dreams. But one of those things within us that will break and weaken the desire to achieve those dreams are excuses. When we keep giving excuses, we become contented with the level where we find ourselves. We become contented with what is happening around us, and we say, after all, we condemn ourselves to fate, F-A-T-E, fate. We say, after all, everybody could not do it, so I am not the exception. But you can be the exception. Why was it that in the whole of Egypt, among the Israelites, God came after Moses to ask him to lead the Israelites? He saw something in Moses. He saw something to use him as the person that will lead them out. And so God sees different things in us. But when we cannot take responsibility and honor, when we push away our responsibility, we blame this, we blame that. It was my mother, it was my father, it was my friend, it was my sister, it was my husband, it was my wife, it was my boss, it was my dad. And we don't take that responsibility. We stay on those excuses. Very soon, we become the accused. When you give too many excuses, you become the accused. Another way we can use to overcome excuses is to have or develop high self-esteem. Many people are living with low self-esteem. They see themselves as inferior. They are not up to the people around them. And so they just look at themselves, well, this one is not for me. This one is for that. This one is for those. If you look at the man Gideon in the book of Judges, you will find out that the angel of God came to Gideon. And when he tell him, he said, you go and deliver the Israelites. And Gideon said, how can I? I come from the least tribe, the least people of all of these people. But he said, go in the strength that you have. Now, he saw the strength in Gideon. Look at David, young David. All the army of Israel could not defeat mighty Goliath. This man has been in war. Even the king, Saul, told him, he said, you are just a small boy. He said, this man has been a warrior over the years. Excuses. But David said, while I was a boy, taking care of my father's sheep, a lion will attack. I will rise and fight, and I kill the lion. I can do it with this my bare hands. David had no time for excuses. And so, if we develop high self-esteem, we can be able to overcome, these excuses. When you look at yourself, the other person that has an A, the other person that moves higher, the other person that has a PhD, the other one that goes higher in education, they do not have two heads. They have the same head like us. But the only difference is they had no time for excuses. They did not give excuses. Oh, I don't have time to read. I don't have time to research. They put away some things and they overcame excuses and they attained that level. And so when we overcome excuses, develop high self-esteem. It is possible. Tell yourself it is possible. Tell yourself, I can. Barack Obama said, yes, we can. And he made it, becoming the first black president in the United States. He made it. He said, yes, I can. And for 2 terms, he was the president. If he had given excuses, oh, I am a black man, I'm not able to do it, the people will not support the blacks. But he looked at all of these things, overcame all of these odds. And what did he do? He made it. And he became the president of the United States for 8 years. And he made it. He overcame these excuses. And so each one of us, when we develop high self-esteem, the the attitude of I can do it, the attitude of yes, I can be able to achieve it. You develop a high self-esteem wherever you find yourself. In your job, you will go higher. In your education, you will go higher. Even in the family, you take your family higher. But when we have low self-esteem, we may not be able to do it. Now, the last one for today is when we learn in ourselves to leave our past failures behind. Some people hold on to their past failures and it becomes a part of them. They don't want to let go. You know, each time you take a step and 2 steps backwards, 1 step ahead, 3 steps backward. You know, you move ahead a little and you say, oh, if it was like yesterday, I remember. Those past failures should only be lessons for you to look at them and learn and see where you can make correction. You know, in school, a teacher gives an exercise, and if the child does not have it right, when the teacher comes back, what does the teacher do? The teacher does a correction. And what is the meaning of correction? He said, you learn from this so that next time I give it, you will do it what? Correctly. It simply means, it doesn't mean the child is a failure. It simply means the child did not do it correctly. You didn't get it rightly. So I came and corrected it so that next time when I give it, you will be able to do it correctly. It doesn't mean the child is a failure. The child is not a failure. And so in life, many people want to hang on their past failures. Imagine in the class, if the child hangs on the past exercises he got wrong and remains there and does not want to see the corrected ones that the teacher has done, and next time the teacher brings the same thing, the child will still do the same thing and will still get it wrong. And that is how in life many people keep doing the same things the same way. If you keep doing the same things the same way, you will get the same results. You keep doing things the same way, you get the same results. But if you keep doing things better, you learn and you correct, you will get different results. Many people remain on the same place. They give excuses because they hang on things of the past failures. They are glued to the past failures. They are not ready to learn, correct themselves and move ahead. But if we want to overcome excuses, learn to leave past failures. Take them as corrections, correct them and move ahead. Where did I not get it right? I want to get it right this time. Do it and move ahead. And so today, what are we saying? Excuses have been with human beings as long as man has been on earth. From the beginning, when God created man and put him in the Garden of Eden, man began to give excuses. When Eve was deceived to eat the fruit and God came to visit, Eve could not own up. He said, the serpent deceived me. And when he came to the man, he said, the woman you gave me deceived me. Excuses have always been a problem. Now think for a while. If the woman had given another reply and said, I am sorry, I'm ready to learn. If the man had given another reply and said, I am sorry, I made a mistake, I think the difference would have been clear. God would have said something else. And so, let us learn to overcome excuses. If you continue to give excuses, you may become an accused or you may remain the accused person. I pray that God will help us as we learn this. God will help us as we continue to move ahead. God bless you in Jesus' name.